Well, hello and welcome to this video where we're gonna be building the clone UI of YouTube, this exact platform where you are watching this video right now. Since the previous video of how to build a clone UI of Netflix was quite a successful one, I decided why not make another one, but this time we're not gonna be using any framework, we're gonna be building it from scratch, HTML, CSS, nothing else. Is it gonna be the most beautifully written code? Probably not. Is it gonna be the most efficient code? Also probably not. Is it gonna be a starter code? Yes. Are we gonna learn tons of things? Yes. And that's the goal. So if you wanna join me in building the clone UI of YouTube, then let's go. Alright, so what are we going to be building? YouTube. Here's what we have. We have a side nav which has several sections. It has its icons, it has some stuff. Then we have also this bar here, which when we scroll, it stays on the top. It also has input field, a button, and these ones are also buttons. And then there is your user, or I think if you're not signed in, then you're gonna have here a sign in option, but we're gonna work with an avatar. Then YouTube also gives you these kind of things, which I assume are just kind of like topics, right? Or like things that you most search for. I apparently search for The Sims more than I search for computer programming. Okay, that's what we have. So I'm living in Germany, I love The Sims, I love makeup, I kind of like Photoshop, something I use, and then these kind of things. Yes, I do speak Russian and I have lived in one of those buildings myself. And yeah, every video, every suggestion of a video has a thumbnail, they have a title, the channel name, then it has some views, some more information. As like a general thing, if we kind of like zoom out, we said we have the side nav, we have the top nav, and then we have the suggestions. The suggestions are the videos, and then they're also divided into sections. So here, like some sections that I think it started like 1.5 years ago since the whole thing started appearing. Some other stuff, or it's just like full of suggestions? Yeah, just full of suggestions. Okay, that's what we're gonna be building. We're gonna be using very simple syntax in order for everybody to be able to hop on this video and build a clone UI of YouTube. Now, how do we start? Usually there are starter files that you can download. In this case, we're not gonna have any starter files. I'm gonna show you how to create them. Since we're not using any framework, let's go to the main. So just open a window, open somewhere a folder or create a folder where you're gonna be having this project, and then open your code editor of choice. And in here, that's where we're gonna be doing all the work. Let's create our first file. So in Visual Studio Code, I press Command and N, and that gives me a new file, and I click on Command S, then I can save it, and I'm gonna save it as index.html. So you see now that this has changed. If I open this bar, then okay, I can open my folder. Let's do that. So the folder that I created is called YouTube Clone UI, and then I have an index.html in it. Then I probably have an extension, or no, I think actually Visual Studio Code offers that. It's called Emmet. I type HTML and I choose HTML5, and that gives us like the base structure that we need for our page. If we save it, wait, before save it, just type here hello, save it, and then you need to go to your folder. Where is this index.html? Double click it, and there we go, we have hello. This is how we start. As always, let me know if the font size is okay for you, because some of you have said before that some fonts are too small, and I'm sorry about that. So I think that's an improvement already. And also if the theme, if the colors of them work for you. Always let me know in the comments if you have any suggestions or if you have any complaints. I'm always reading them, always there. Let's continue. So we have the index.html, and with the index.html we can create the structure. So another thing that we're gonna have here, like the issue is that now that it's like in shrink size of the screen, it's going to be a little bit smaller than if I go to the other page. You see this one, this menu is open and it's more wide, while here it's a little bit more like this. I suggest that as a first go, we're gonna do this page We're not gonna go into details how to do it responsive yet, because that might take a very, very long while, like with the Netflix clone UI, and we're not gonna be doing that. So we're just gonna keep this as a reference. I mean, the only thing that actually changes in those two screens is that this menu is just like shrinked, but on click you can actually have that. But clicks are considered JavaScript part, so we're not gonna be doing that. And this is why we're doing this. Okay, so let's start with the top nav. So the top nav is gonna be nav. It's an element nav. What are we gonna have? We're gonna have an icon. Then we're gonna have the logo. Then we're gonna have a search bar. Search bar. This is just commands. This is not gonna do anything. Search button. Voice button or voiceover button or record button. Then what is this? Create button. This one, YouTube apps and notifications. Yeah, YouTube apps button and notifications, as well as, what's that? It's me. Okay. User menu. Since it's not gonna be in our case a button, let's just user avatar. Let's just choose avatar. Do people still call it avatar, or is it 290s? I don't know, or like early 2000s. So that's what we're gonna have in our top nav. And then in the navigation, we're also gonna have this one, which is gonna be what? How are we gonna call it? I mean, technically it's also a navigation, and also when we scroll it's still there, so I would still keep it in here. I would maybe separate it with like, I would just maybe separate it more, like we're gonna create two separate elements for that, but it's still in the navigation. I think some people call them chips. Some people call them badges. Let's check how YouTube calls them. So if we click inspect, so if we select this, yeah, YouTube chip, cloud. Okay, we're gonna be calling them chips as well. It's almost dinner time here, not gonna make me hungry at all. Yeah, and then we're gonna figure out how many of them we wanna do. And as always, if you have also YouTube, which I assume you have, and you have this menu, because maybe also in your case YouTube has some A/B testing in your country or for your user group, which is also possible. If you don't know what A/B testing is, it's basically when a user, the end user, so us, we're being served with different UI of the website in order to see which one of it performs better. If your menu doesn't look quite the same, or maybe it has like other interests, which I assume that is completely possible. Not everybody needs to love the same, although you're missing out on a lot. But yeah, and it most likely does have different suggestions here, then feel free to put those if you want to make it more alike to yours, or just go with the flow and do what I do. So we have the chips. We're just gonna copy paste them and put them, all of them here. Then we're gonna have our side nav, a div, a regular div. So what do we have here? We also have all those suggestions, and they have icons, and they have the title, and on hover they have this cute effect. Then we have, oh, hello coder, hello Gassy, hello Jessie, hello sister codes, and many, many more. Then they have this kind of stuff, settings, and the regular things. We actually went already through that. So how are we gonna call it? We're gonna call it, so there is this menu here, and then you have just subscriptions and more from YouTube. You know what, let's for now just keep it as is, just like here it's gonna be side navigation, and we're gonna figure that later. And then in here we're gonna have our main, because that's our main suggestions of videos, and we're gonna have here all the videos or thumbnails, no, videos. Okay, so let's start with this first icon. Usually a company would use like their own set of icons, but I would assume that I have an SVG for that. And what I usually do, or actually not usually, what I've recently started doing, so previously I would use Font Awesome, which is pretty awesome, but since many things are pretty custom, then what I do now is I click on the icon. So on the SVG part of it, I edit it as HTML, Command A or select everything and copy this, and then in here create a new file, paste it, and name it menu icon.svg, and click on save. So I would also suggest that we have here our assets folder, because then it's easier and we can just drop everything that we have. Are you sure you want to put? Yeah. Then we can drop all of our images and assets right there. Actually, further in assets, we can also create icons. Now let's use the menu icon image. The source is going to be assets, icons, and menu SVG, and the all is going to be menu icon. Okay, so let's save it and see what happens. It doesn't load. And do we need to do it like this? Reload. Why is this not loading? Assets, menu icon. Okay, so that didn't work. I had to create my own SVG icon in Figma and then use that one in here. So we are going to have assets in our starter files, or if you have already an icon in mind which you can use, then go for it. We're just gonna go with this. And after I refresh the page, this is how it looks like. I think it's quite big now. We need to add a class to it, and that's where the fun starts. So classes are CSS things. We're gonna be naming them. We're gonna be using the BEM convention, which is something. I always forget. BEM is block element modifier, which is basically going to ensure that we are not going to override our classes naming. So here we go. So for example, it's gonna be block and then block underscore element, or block underscore element dash modifier. So you're gonna see, so for you're gonna see, for example, for an icon, we're gonna name it navigation underscore icon dash red, and that's gonna be the modifier. But it's gonna make sense as we go. Also, I'm probably not the most strict applier of this. What is it? Methodology? Is that a methodology? And there is a lot of room for improvement as always, so let's just go with the flow. That's kind of like the motto of this video, go with the flow. Okay, so the class name is gonna be navigation menu button. We're gonna have only one menu button, right? But okay, you know what, this thing needs to be easier. We're just gonna call it menu button. No, navigation menu. No, navigation menu icon. But they're all icons. Are they all the same width? Because then that can make it a little bit easier. Yeah, they are. Okay, cool. So we're gonna be using navigation menu icon. Although we can remove the menu, we can just do navigation icon. And now we have this name, and you're wondering, where do we put this? Where's our CSS? Where are we gonna define it? And we're gonna create a new file called styles.css. And in here we're gonna put dot navigation icon. We're gonna put the width to be 24 pixels and the height to be as well 24 pixels. Don't forget the semicolon, because this is what we had here. You see here there's a 24 times 24, which means 24 is the x, so it's the width, and the next 24 next to it is the y, which is the height. And that's what we did here. But now our classes are still not gonna apply because we need to import them. Let me close this navigation side of the code editor, and in our head we're gonna, in our head tag, this one, we are going to include a link file and you define the relationship that is a style sheet, and the href is going to be just style.css. And if you save it and refresh it, it should apply. Let's take this one next, a YouTube icon, which is also an SVG. Let's see if that one works. Edit as HTML, copy. I'm gonna create a new one, save it as YouTube logo, and we save it. Let's see if that's gonna work. We don't need this class, so we can remove it for now. YouTube logo, save it and go to our page. It doesn't work again. Why you don't wanna work with me? You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna take a screenshot. I told you to go with the flow, and that's what we're doing. Here's my screenshot. It's beautiful. I'm gonna call it YouTube logo. And it's gonna be a PNG for now, although it doesn't make sense. Okay, in my case it's gonna be a PNG, but for you I'm gonna prepare an asset and it's gonna be a JPEG or JPG. I don't know, I always have problems pronouncing those things, but you know what I mean. Move it and let's go for it. It's gonna be here PNG. In your case it's gonna be another extension, so pay attention to that. The alt is gonna be YouTube logo, although I'm not sure if you actually should write logo. If it's just the logo, you can also leave it empty, I think, if I'm not wrong, in order for the screen readers not to read that. That also might be a lot of information for you right now, so feel free to disregard it. There we go, YouTube Premium. Kind of looks the same, doesn't it? So spacing, what do we have with the spacing here? Or you know what, let's first drop all the items that we have here. So we have the icon, we have the logo, then we have a search bar, which is an input field. I think there is a thing called type search. I saw it somewhere on Instagram. That was really cool. Is there? Yeah, wow, that's really cool. By the way, if we are still not friends on Instagram, then what are you waiting for? Go check it out, join me, and I'm actually doing there a lot of polls of which video to create next, so if you want to participate in that, then back to the topic. We have our search, so the input is going to have a placeholder of search. Click here. Yeah, now we have the search. Okay, and it has a focus, and then it has this button. So the search bar, now we have a button which has an icon inside of it. So let's copy the one that we have above with the menu icon and drop it here inside. Let me close the navigation bar. So here you see it, we have the button and inside we have the image. Let's see if it works. Yeah, cool. However, the image, we need to have it as what is it called, like a magnifying glass. Is that one gonna work? Seriously, like, I have prepared it yesterday. I was going through it and I checked if those icons actually work. They did work. I mean, at least this home worked. Maybe that one is a special one, but if now all of them are not gonna work, that's gonna create us a headache. So save it as search icon.svg in assets in icons. Click on save. Please work. Is it gonna work? It did. Okay, at least we know that our alt works. Search icon. Why you don't work? Why you don't work? Okay, you know what? If you actually include it here, then it's gonna work. It's probably something with the import that I'm missing, but I cannot spot it right now. But okay, you know what? It works this way. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna have it like that. You're gonna need to work with the indentation here because that's what we do. Okay, so in the button we have this thing. Should we also maybe import this image here? Actually, yes, what was I thinking? It also should be a button. So I'm just copying this, lazy coding. Let's take the menu icon, copy it, and paste it in here. And then of course we need to indent everything ourselves. And what else? Oh yeah, we needed the class here and we paste it in here. Cool, now we have it. Nice. Don't worry about the styling. As I said, we're gonna change that. Let's just drop everything we have on here. Okay, so what's next? Then we have this one. And as well, you know what? I'm gonna fast forward through this. What you need to do is you inspect this icon or just take it from the starter files that I am going to put eventually on GitHub, because I guess that's going to be helpful. If you're going to do it as me, you will click on edit as HTML, you select this whole thing. Be sure to click on the SVG specifically, because you need that one. And then you're going to create a button and you're going to paste this SVG inside. And when you load it, it's going to look like this. And then you're going to apply the class navigation icon. You can remove this class that YouTube has because we're not going to be using it, and you can remove this inline style that they give. Save it, refresh it, and there you go. Now I'm going to do the same for those 3 icons. See you in a second. We also can remove this preserve aspect ratio, focusable, style, everything that is like of YouTube. And I select this and then I select Command D and I can select it in 2 places and remove it straight away. Yeah, also those inline styles we absolutely don't need. D, remove it. And this class as well. Sometimes you need to be careful with this multiple selections because you can really by mistake remove something that you need, and you don't want to do that. And now this class I'm gonna apply on the other icons as well. Yay, beautiful. Okay, then we also have this avatar. We said we're gonna name it avatar, right? Which we said that is gonna be an icon. You know what, for now let's just keep it as a div and we're just gonna make it as a circle. Let me put the comments on top. Notification button is this one, YouTube apps button is here, create button, voice button, and search button. Let me then also bring this back, menu button, and this one is, well, YouTube logo. And a search field. So because our HTML is going to be quite huge, I mean it's already quite big, then I think like put in comments is going to make it way easier, because right now, like, how do you know what is this SVG about? You don't. So leave yourself a comment and it costs you nothing, and it's going to make it so much easier to work with, debug, and develop. Also regarding like the formatting, just be sure that you have like some indentation, but if you do it like this or if you do it like this, I don't think it plays that big of a role. So we said the user avatar is just gonna be like a circle, so we can also make it a class, navigation, avatar. Then you copy it, you go to the CSS, navigation avatar is gonna be, what's the size of it? It's 32, so we're gonna have the same values or the same attributes but with different values. 32, and also we're gonna have a border radius because we want to make it circle, not border radius of 50%, which means that it's gonna be rounded all over, and the background color is gonna be gray. Save it, and here we have the class, and let's see if that applied. Yay, it did. It doesn't necessarily need to be a div, it can also be a span. In general, I think it's going to be a div and then inside you're going to have an image, but we're not going to work with the image right now because it's fine like this. We're just going to have a placeholder. So how about we change this one to YouTube clone UI. YouTube. Do you say YouTube or YouTube? I think it's very Russian to say YouTube, which is why I'm saying it like that. All right, so we have this. Then let's start on making it look like a little bit more of a YouTube. clone, right? Okay, so let's go to the styling. What's the biggest difference that we see? What's not a difference we see, right? Okay, let's start with probably the layout. So we see that, let me select it. This whole div is a container that has, if you see the green bars from the left and from the right, those are margins, right? Those are paddings. So those are paddings and they have 16. So let's also create a class called .container. Although, you know what? Let's just create navigation and we're gonna just follow our methodology. And since we have here navigation icon, navigation avatar, we're gonna have a container of it, which we're gonna be calling also navigation. Because I think in the BAM methodology, you don't have to, but it's kind of the whole sense that you're creating the main parent, and then inside of it, the children are also prepended with the name of the parent's class. Makes sense? We're gonna have a padding of 0 and then 16 pixels. What it does is that we're not adding anything to the top and to the bottom, but we're adding only horizontal. Essentially, it's the same as writing 0, 16, 0, 16, but we're gonna write it like this as a shortcut because those values are the same for us. Did anything change? No, because we didn't apply the class. So we go to our nav tag and we write navigation. If you save it, yes, you see our elements moved a little bit. Now another thing is that you see that those ones are on one row and this one is on another row. And that's because a div is a block element, and whenever you have a div, it's always gonna go one under the other and it's not gonna go like in a row. In order to make it all in a row, like these buttons, which are inline elements, we need to give this navigation a display of a flex. I think you could also do a grid, but I don't know why I do prefer flex more. You see how now they're all like tidy and all together? Let's comment it and let's see how it looked like before. With display flex? Oh, nice. Do they use Flexbox? You can actually see that. So if you inspect it, you see that the container, you see it has here a tag of flex, and you see like the dotted lines, they define the containers that the things are in. Why won't we do the same? So let's just break it down. We're gonna put them into their own respective divs. Div here, indented. Then we're gonna have here another one for the search field and the button. And then we're gonna have all of these ones also in a div. Yep. So now if we save it, yeah. Even though it looks like we kind of like went a step backwards, let me show you why we should do that. If you see our main big screen, this part is very to the left. This part is central, and then we have this kind of like other items that are very to the right. And this is what Flexbox can help us do. We're basically gonna tell Flexbox to space the items between do the amount of the space that the page has. Let me show you how we're gonna do it. In order to see it better, let's do navigation, and we're gonna do div, and we're gonna do the border. We want only like the direct div. Border 1 pixel solid red. Save it, and now, so you see this is the containers that we have. These are our 3 divs. Now, if I put to the navigation display flex, and we can actually do that in the inspector. Here, if you're in Chrome, then there is this option that you can see how things work. So we said justify content, we wanted a space between this one. You see, it kind of like pushes everything aside, and regardless of how much space you have, you can do it smaller and bigger, and it's gonna just distribute it evenly. And that's why I like using this, and that's what we're gonna be doing. However, we have our little thing here that it's again on the bottom. Also, our voice button should be in the other part. It should be here. Yeah. Okay, now I refreshed it and it's all gone because I just did it in the console. I didn't do it here. So here we're gonna do justify content, space between. And there we go. Okay, now we need to name those things also somehow. So we can name the main one. We can name navigation main. Navigation menu. I mean, it's fine. We're gonna call it navigation menu. So our navigation menu. So this is our navigation main. Then we have this one. We're gonna name it navigation search. And as well, we're just gonna put it here. We're still not applying any classes or any styling. And in here, we're gonna call it, how are we gonna call this one? Navigation what? Navigation options. I really don't know at this point. Also, keep in mind that I have been working for like 8 hours today prior to this video, so if my brain is a little bit off, then please excuse. So navigation options, this one also needs to go with display flex, right? Because you see that our little avatar is again on the bottom and now it's not. Nice. So what we also need is to kind of have all the elements like on the same line, right? Because right now you see like this icon is lower and this one is higher and they're kind of like not nicely distributed. So let's do it for this one. And the way we do it is gonna be display flex again. Very surprised. And then justify, align items center. How much should work? Yeah, cool, nice. What else? We probably gonna apply this one to all of them. So instead of applying it one by one, why won't we chain it? We're gonna do a navigation menu, navigation search, and navigation options, all gonna have display flex. Sorry about that, don't know where my camera stopped. It's a very subtle change, but it makes quite a big difference, like aesthetically, to have all the items aligned on kind of like on the same eyeline thing. Okay, so the next thing that I have kind of like popping in my eyes is the search. The search is quite big and we need to make it also as big as they have it. So the width is 372 pixels. Or 359, so let's do it 360, and we can do navigation search input. I'm gonna keep it just here because I don't know if we're gonna be using that one as well. Input, I'm using the input and not as a class. That's also optional. Sometimes it's not preferred. If you, for example, if you have several inputs and the classes of them are different, then of course don't use that. But since we have our navigation search and it's only one input field, then I think we can do it like that. So the width of it is going to be, how much we said, 360 pixels, and the height of it is 26, no, this one is 32. So just like the navigation avatar. Okay, let's see. Yeah, it starts looking nicer. Then we also have this button here. Okay, so you see that all of them, we said that they're buttons for us, but all of them except of the search icon, they are not going to have the borders. So let's kind of like create maybe a generic styling, or remove just like the basic styling of the button, and we are still going to target only the button of the navigation because we don't want to affect the future buttons that are possibly going to be affected. Like, we want this to apply only to our navigation. That's my bottom line. So border is going to be none. Refresh, yeah. I think we could also remove, well, it has like it has its own padding and one. Let's do maybe a generic padding of 5 pixels everywhere, like from all the sides. Would that be okay, or is it just like too squishy? Yeah, I think it needs to be from the top and from the bottom. It should be 5, and then on the side it should be 10, because usually it's also nicer. Yeah, they're more like buttony, they're more like square like that. Then ignore for now our search button because it's going to be a special case. We're going to handle that later. Our background should be transparent. Our cursor should be a pointer. So now every time we have like this ticky, and what else? I think that's all. No, it's not that. It's not all. Okay, now let's tackle this one. Let's do that one was in navigation search. We have the button, and oh no, we actually cannot do that because I forgot that we have this one here. So we will need to name it specifically. So you can do a space and you write navigation search icon. So we're gonna do dot navigation search icon, border unset. So usually what border unset does is that it kind of like reverts everything that this icon has before. Oh, okay, I didn't put it in the right place. I need to put it on the button. This one. Class here. Still doesn't have the unset for some reason. Why doesn't it have the unset? Oh, there we go. It doesn't like it. Right. See, I wanted to be like smarter, but that didn't work out. So why this doesn't work out? Because if you do a class and then you put a selector, in our case the button is like the tag, then it's more specific than any class that is applied after that. So we cannot do a navigation button. We will have to do probably navigation underscore underscore button, and that's just that's how we're gonna go with it. So every button that we have is gonna be navigation button. Being lazy, I don't want to type it. Now we can copy this and apply it to every single button, because it's gonna have a unified styling and should work. And if we refresh it, okay, it still didn't unset, but if you see that now this class of navigation search icon with the border unset is on the top, which means that it applies first and then it applies the rest. So this border none is removed. Okay, so our border is unset, but I actually want it to be like the normal border that it had. You know what? Doesn't matter. Anyway, we're gonna change the color of the border, because if we inspect this one, what's the color of the border that it has? I'm gonna make it here bigger. So here we can see that the border is this color. Copy this, RGB 211. We'll go to our styling, and where's our border? Here, the search icon, navigation search icon, which actually should be navigation button search, but whatever. Border, we're gonna do it 1 pixel solid, because you usually need to define the thickness of it, the type of it, and then it should work. There we go. Cool. Now we need to align it to be the same height as our search, and our search is over 24 pixels, so we're gonna do height 24 pixels. And here we need to, not forget, semicolon. No. Sorry, our input is 32, not 24. Yeah, let's also then define this border color. Border search input is going to be like this. Okay, and since we don't want the duplication of it, we can define that, for example, on our button, our border right is going to be none. None, which means that it's gonna border left, which means that it's gonna remove that border and it's not gonna create like this double border thickness, so it looks as it's all unified. However, it looks a little bit smaller, or not. No, I guess it's just the colors, and the font is bigger. Which font size are they using? Font size 16 pixels. Probably we use the same because that's the default, right? Let's go to compute it. What's the font size? Oh, 13, really? In the input, let's define font size 16 pixels. Save it, refresh it, and there we go. Now this one is also a little bit wider, which is 65. Okay, so our icon is gonna be width 65 pixels. Refresh, yes. And now the color. What's the color of that SVG? This guy, this one, is RGB 515151. Do we want navigation button SVG? And we're gonna have a fill of RGB. Let's see if that one works. Did it work? Yay! So did it affect all of our SVGs? Yes, it has navigation button SVG and all of them are like this now. Okay, now we still have, why is the border having a little bit of this thing? Is it because of the height? The whole height of this bar is 56, so let's do it as well. Let's define as well 56 pixels, and yeah, but this should be this height. Is it this height? No, this one is 72. That's not what we want. So what we actually want is to probably remove this thing. So every time in every page, every browser has their own sets of styling that they define, and this is where it comes from. And if you would open this in Firefox, then there is a chance that the styling would look different a little bit. Maybe the margin there is not 8 pixels but 10. So in order to kind of like unify that and remove that, not let it affect our design, we're gonna do margin 0 on the whole body and padding 0. I think that's how it's done. Yeah, so you see now it went to the top and we don't have this weird like margin that was on top of our navigation div. So now this spacing is the one that we defined here, the padding of 16 pixels, which is good. Now what if we remove these ones? How it's gonna look like? Let's refresh. Does it look a little bit more like this? Yes, it does. Cool, okay. So what I see is that this icon is way too big here. Let's target the navigation menu button, because we have only one and we actually need to target the SVG inside of it, and that height is going to be, let's say, 20 pixels, and we need to copy this. And where is our button? This one. So let's apply it like that. Yeah, got smaller. Let's make it maybe even smaller. What if we do 10? Is that? Okay, 10 might be a little bit too much. Maybe 15. Yeah, it's just a little bit different. Let's try this one more time. If I edit HTML and I copy it. And I go in here. Let's see. Oh no, it actually renders something there. Okay. We're gonna remove this inline style that they have. Save it. Yeah, okay, cool, nice. And I think now we can bring it back to 24 and it's gonna be true to size, somewhat. Yeah, it is, cool. This is a little bit off, I think because of the screenshot that I made. Yeah, you see it's tiny bit off, but it's gonna be fine. I think we can let it pass. Although it does annoy me a little bit that it's kind of like it's not centered inside of it. So if we're gonna put a line height of 16 pixels, let's put 5. This looks closer now, yeah. Line height. Basically what it does is that it shrinks like the space inside of the button. And because before that we used to have more space in there, so the line height was quite high or quite tall, quite big, large, whatever. And now it's not gonna be. So line height is gonna be this one. And it's gonna affect only this specific button. But maybe we want it everywhere, because you see if I hover on it, you see that the icon is more towards the top part of the button rather than centered. You could also do it probably with flex and also a line inside, but in these elements, I mean, if line height is gonna work, then why use a flex all over that? I don't think it's necessarily bad, but it just feels excessive to use flex for that. When you just want to align something with the inside of the button and you actually have something else that you can use. You know what I mean? So navigation button, all of them are gonna have the line height. And let's refresh and check it out. Yeah, they all moved kind of a little bit, so I like that. I'm gonna keep this. Okay, so this one, I think this color is also a little bit, like, I feel like our color is a little bit too dark, isn't it? I don't know. Whatever. Okay, next we have is the search. If you see here, the search has some padding, and that's what we're gonna do as well. Here it is, it's gonna have a padding of, let's do 2 pixels and 5 pixels. Okay, maybe 10 pixels. Yeah, that's not bad. That's not bad. Okay. And these elements are also gonna have like their own spacing, and that's when our search is gonna move a little bit to the left. So we have 2 and 10, and they have 2 and 6. But then inside this thing also has a margin and a padding. So it has like 8 and 5, no, 3 and 8. Not really sure why do they need this. So let's refresh. Close enough, right? Now the icon here, I think it's gonna be a little bit smaller. Yeah, it's 20. And ours is 24. So we're gonna copy this again, and we're gonna target specifically that SVG, and it's gonna be height 20 pixels and width as well. Yeah, nice, cool. So we have this, our button here and here is good. Although on hover it changes the color. So navigation search icon, this one, Copy this one down and close the brackets. And this one is gonna have a pseudo class of hover, and what it's gonna change is the background color to gray. And let's see how it looks. Yeah. Although our gray is way too gray. If we want to change it now here in the console and play around it in the console, we can't, because if we select it, or select the button, it only shows us the default state, but we want the hover state. And the way how you can target that is by clicking on this toggle element state, and you can select here hover, and then you have all the states or the classes, all the styling that is applied when element is hovered on, which can be very helpful. So I would say it's like this, and then you can also copy here, or if you want another value of RGB or HSL or something. Let's take this one and save it. Also, yeah, usually you wouldn't have like a mix of RGB and then hex colors and then gray, but you can change that. Feel free to have your own unique style of aligning and the way you choose how to code this project. There is no one way that is correct. I mean, I guess the correctness comes from it being consistent throughout the project, so feel free to choose whichever styling you prefer more. If it's RGB, if it's hex, if it's HSL, or whatever you prefer, and go with that. So yeah, now we have the hover. Here when we select, we have this part. This one is probably a link, but we're gonna keep it as a logo for now. And then we have this little part. It actually has a padding of 8 pixels all over the thing. I think 5 and 10 looks quite all right. Also, like, this spacing looks fine to me. However, these ones, if we enlarge it a little bit, these ones, so there is a button here. So our button, right, which is, okay, in their case, it's a link, but we put it as a button. So it's a div, and this div is 40 by 40. Here it's where I see it. How big is our div or our button? It's 40 by 34 or 44. So that's like the width by height, which is actually fine. It's not bad. And then how come they are so like spread? So you see the flex, this is 40 by 40, but then the box of the flex is, yeah, they have a margin of 8 pixels. Okay, so we're going to our navigation options. And in navigation options, every navigation button is going to have a margin right 8 pixels. Save it, and yeah, okay. So now if it goes a little bit smaller, then you see this is what actually moved our search bar a little bit. Where was it? I think we were something like that. And previously we had it more to the right side, and now it's more to the left. Here we are. So those purple things, they kind of like move the search bar like more to the left or to the right, at least visually. Okay, so we are done with this one, aren't we? I still think that the color is different. Yeah, here we go. 96, 96, 96. 96, 96. Okay, let's try. Yeah, now it's nice. Now this is how it looks like. Cool. So what do we want to do next? Let's do this part. And this one we said it's gonna be called chips. So what I'm thinking is that we have this main div, this one called navigation, and it's gonna hold all of this thing. And this navigation has a display flex. Let me show you what's going to happen now. If we create another div here, which is going to be our chips, and we say chips, save it, it's not going to go under like the navigation that we have. It's going to go to the side because it's all flex, and instead of like divs going one under each other, it goes kind of like it's wrapping all in one line or in one row. It's also not a part of a navigation, right? It's more kind of like a helper element. Plus, it's inside of this page. You see, like the border of this page. It's not from the whole left side to the right side. It's like inside of it. You know what I mean? So let's do that. Let's call it class chips. We're gonna call it chips. They call it chips. We're gonna call it chips. And inside we're gonna have a chip item. div.chips item. And if I click on tab, then Emmet is gonna autocomplete it, or like, I don't know if it's autocomplete, it's just gonna type it for me. And this chips item is gonna have, one of them is gonna have all. Let's just have several of them so we can work with the styling. The Sims 4, then we have computer programming, logos, video editing software. Yeah, I for sure was searching for that one. By the way, I already asked you before, but maybe there are some new people watching this. What would you think about streaming this whole thing? Would that be something that interests you? Let me know, because I'm looking into exploring some options. It might be like easier to communicate with each other, you know, like during a live coding session rather than just like a recorded one. So I'm up for suggestions. Okay, we have this. Let's refresh the page and see how it looks like. That's what I thought. Okay, so as we know, we are going to apply a display flex to it. So now they're all in one line. Let's go here. So let's remove this one because we're not using it. Chips. So df display flex. That's also a shortcut that you can write in Visual Studio Code. Then what? Then the chips item, let's design each item, is going to have a border of 1 pixel, solid, and black. Is it black? No, it's not black. What's the color here? What's your color? I just saw it, you know, like when we were hovering. There we go. Oh, what's this? That's the border color. Okay, let's try. Border is gonna be this. It's actually gonna work. Yeah, it does. I'm not sure how readable it is, but okay. Also, they have, each of them has a margin around them. Margin left 24 pixels. Okay, I'm not gonna copy, I'm gonna type. Margin left 24 pixels. Okay. Then it also has a padding inside of it, because you see that there is like the chip itself, and then there is the text inside, and to have the space around it is the padding, which is 12, but only on the side. And what's the font size? 14 pixels. So font size 14 pixels, and padding we said 0 and 16 pixels, was it? 12. So on the top and the bottom they have 0, and on the right and the left they have 12. Okay. However, I think it's still it doesn't look the same. Does it have a specific height? Yeah, it has a height of 32 pixels, which is coming from, so the element itself has a 30. Let's try the line height. Yeah, line height works nicely. Okay, now that it has a border radius, which is 16 pixels. Yeah, look at this, nice. Why is like the margins too huge here, isn't it? I think that's too much. It's definitely too much. I think this one has a margin, yeah. So we need to target the first child. We do first child, and the margin left is gonna be only for the first child. Yeah, cool. And the rest of them is gonna be less of a margin. I have a margin right of 12 pixels. So margin right, 12 pixels. Yay, nice. Okay, later on it's gonna move as soon as we add the navigation here. So this one, as soon as we add this, or like we saw here that it has this part, and then this ones go here. So it's gonna work fine. But for now it's gonna appear here. Also, another thing is that one of them is gonna be selected, which is gonna be the first one. So the first one, let's make the background color. Actually, no, you know what? I think the wisest thing would be to apply a class, because it's gonna change the background color. It's gonna change the text, so the color itself of the text. And it's not gonna be only the first one, right? It's gonna be whatever the user clicks on. That is gonna be done in JavaScript later on. But to prepare that, with every click, you wanna be toggling a class, like on and off, because it's not always gonna be the first child that is gonna be selected. So let's create chips item, and we can use dash dash, selected or active, whatever you want to call it, and we're gonna have it a background color of black. The color is gonna be white. And now we're gonna apply this one also to the first child, because in our case, in the beginning, it's gonna be the first one, but later on can be changed by the user. There we go. Cool. Also the font is different. Wait, and also the background color of the regular one is different. What's the background color of this one? RGB, really? Okay, interesting. So it's the same as the border. Our background color is gonna be this one. Oh no, not the same. It's even lighter. Okay, fine. I'm also missing the cursor of a pointer. Yep, cool, 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 cool. And also a general font. It looks like YouTube is using some other font than we are, which is, I think I saw it, it was Roboto. Yes, here, Roboto. So let's copy that. And the font you can apply on the body. Like this. Yay, nice, cool. So we have this. You know what we don't have? We don't have these horizontal lines. So let's add them. I would say that they come from this element, right? So this div probably has a border top and a border bottom. Border bottom color. So you can have it two ways, or many more ways, but two ways that I think of right now is, first you can use a tag called HR, which is basically a horizontal line that you put in your HTML and it renders as a horizontal line. Let me show you how it looks, and we can decide how to continue with it. So that's how you write a horizontal line, which basically renders this. You can also style it, you can apply classes to it, or since every div has borders, I mean, they're not visible, right? You don't really show them here. We can say border top color is gonna be like blue, and then border top width is gonna be 1 pixel, and border top style is gonna be solid. Yeah, Alice Blue was a bad idea, blue. So here we go. Can you also do border top 1 pixel solid red? Yeah, you can do that. So let's use this syntax. Let's go to our chips, yeah, to the main one, and we're gonna say border top, and same is gonna be for border bottom. We're gonna save it, refresh, and that's our horizontal lines that we can use. The only thing is that the chips div also has a padding, or maybe it just has a specific height. I know, so every element has a margin. Sorry, it's not a padding. So the margin that every element has of the chips is not only right, it's also top, right, and bottom. So we can do 12 pixels, 12 pixels, and I think if you don't define the other one, then it's gonna be... No, why did I? Yeah, but you see now here it's double, so we have to define that it's a 0 on the other one. Cool. Okay, I have refreshed by mistake the page, so the thumbnails are gonna look a little bit different, but they are still they're still what they are, and also the chips are a little bit different, but it's fine. Let's change the color of the border that we have, because it's definitely not this color. Is it again a ridiculous color? Background color, border. This one doesn't have a border. This one has the border, and the border is again a very, I have never seen that. That's interesting, because I think, like, okay, for people who actually can see contrasts, it's probably fine, also given that their monitor is calibrated properly, but apart from that, I think like a 0.1 would probably be hard to note for everybody, I think. But okay. Yep, nice. Okay, do you want to add some more chips? I'm gonna add some more. For now it's fine, we're gonna move it a little bit later on. So we got this one, right? It's not clickable because clicks are with JavaScript, and we're doing only HTML and CSS. So now, what do you think? We're gonna do this part, or let me open this menu. We're gonna do this one, the big one. Yeah, okay, side navigation, which is gonna be right under this one. Let's check how much is it, this navigation. Okay, here we go. Let's check the computed. Here it is, 240. Cool. Are we gonna call it nav? We're gonna call it sidebar. So our class is gonna be sidebar. And if we go in here, sidebar is gonna have a width of 240 pixels, and let's put it a background color. Let's give it red, just so we don't miss it. Yeah, now we're not gonna see it at all because we need to put something here. Sidebar. Yeah, there we go. Now we have a little problem, is that we need this sidebar to appear in here, and how we're gonna do it, let me show you. So we have this, and we are going to have a position absolute, and top is going to be 0. See how it went up? And left is going to be also 0. Now the thing with the top is that we don't want it to appear from the top, we want it to appear right under our navigation, which we know is 56 pixels. Cool. So we're gonna copy this, or you can type that, and we're gonna put it right here. Refresh. Cool. However, now we need to push this one in here. How did they do that? So they have this content, and they have this on top, this on this side. They did with a margin top and a margin left. We're gonna do it as well. This means that our chips, or our main chips, are gonna be in the main. We're gonna move chips later on. Okay, so forget about chips for now. Our sidebar is gonna have also a bottom of 0, and this way we stretch it to the bottom. Nice? Nice. So we have the sidebar. Inside of the sidebar, what do we have? Let me close this one. We have kind of like 3 sections, or 4, 5, 6. Okay, so we have section 1, section 2. Let's actually call them sections. Section, and we're gonna have 6 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The first one is gonna be, actually I think all of them are the same in terms of all of them have this bar between them, which is probably the not the margin, the border bottom. So each of these sections is gonna have a class of sidebar section. I'm telling you, sophistication is my game. Copy, and then we're gonna have dot sidebar section, and border bottom is gonna be 1 pixel solid. And you know what, it's probably gonna be again this very light border color. And if we save it, yeah, now they all look like one thick border because we don't have any content inside, but let's put an A inside of it. Yeah, and remove the red color. Yeah, nice. Very nice, except of the chips. Let's move the chips maybe because it's gonna bother us. Okay, we're gonna give the chips a margin left of however big this sidebar is. So chips margin left is gonna be 240 pixels. Yeah, nice, works, awesome. Didn't need to overcomplicate it. Good, I like that. So let's start. Let's do this little section here. What is it gonna be? Is it gonna be, those are links. Okay, so those are gonna be links. So we're gonna have href for now. Well, we actually can check where it's linking, and we can just, so this links to YouTube, so we can put a slash. It's gonna link to the same place. Then there is another one. Okay, let's call it home. Then there is explore. You probably can have other ones. Subscriptions. Maybe they're also testing something on that, or maybe not. Originals. YouTube music. And that's the end of the section. Then this thing is also going to have an icon. Is this, yeah, the whole thing is clickable. Okay, so we're gonna call it sidebar section link class sidebar section _ link. Save it, copy into here. We copied the name of our class, sidebar section link. And let's give it a background color of this one, which is what? Background color. There we go. Should have guessed it. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So remember how I said that divs are block elements? A tags are inline elements. But we need to make them a block element. So display block. What else do we need? So it's an A tag, and then it has like their funny ones. We could just put two spans, right? Because we would need to be using the Flexbox inside of it to kind of like align it in the center and then flex it nicely. I think. Or maybe we don't. Let's take this icon as we did before. I'm gonna edit as HTML. I'm gonna select all of it and we're gonna put it in here. But we're gonna put it as a span because we want to be able to target this element. Well, an SVG you can also target. It's fine. We wanna do it like this. Trust me. And maybe I should also, I don't want to close it because then, okay, let's keep it like this for just for a second, okay? Span, and then the home we're also gonna put in a span. I know the visibility is probably not the best right now, but so save this. Be sure to remove the inline styling that YouTube puts, and also their class. We don't need that. We also, oops. We don't need this class. Keep the G though. Like this, should work. Yay! Big home, nice. Maybe we don't need a span. Okay, we have an SVG and we have a span only for the text. So if we refresh it, we do need to have those two in a flex because we want them side by side. So the sidebar section link, cannot be a display block. Okay, so here's what I need. I need the display to be flex. So then those two can be on the same spot. But it still worked. Okay, fine. Maybe it's gonna pop up later. Now the SVG is quite big, so we're gonna target the SVG, and this one is gonna be, what's the size of it? 24 by 24, of course. Height 24 pixels and width as well. Refresh. Yay, cute. The color needs to be what? What is the color here? RGB 333. Okay, that's our color. Then our text decoration, we're gonna remove it. Usually it's being removed. None. So if we save it now, yeah. So let's also give it a border just for testing purposes, 1 pixel solid red, so we can see where our elements are exactly. Okay, so you see that now they're not aligned, like on the same, how do we call it? Eye line, right? How's it called? I remember in architecture it's called like the perspective line, the horizon. Needs to be aligned on the horizon. I'm also translating it from Russian to English, so that might be not the correct term. And it has been a while since I spoke in architecture language, so it doesn't matter. You don't care about that. I don't know why I keep on talking about that. Align items, center, save it, refresh. Yeah, okay. I also think that the font is smaller, 14 pixels. Font, can you just not make it so hard? I cannot even see anything here. Font size is 14 pixels. Okay, and I guess now we need the padding. Is it a padding? I usually like to push them out with a padding, but I think it has a set height. Okay, this one also has a margin of 24 pixels. So margin right, 24 pixels. Yeah. And then also it has a margin from here. Oh, it has a padding of 24. That's the whole item. It has a padding of, so top and bottom is nothing from what we just saw, and 24 pixels. All right. And the height of this element is, what is this line? What is it? What did Flex do here? Why are you showing me a line or an arrow? What do you mean? What do you mean? I don't know. Never mind. The arrow, I would assume that it's something to do with flex, but I don't see any flex being used there. So, never mind. The height. We still need the height of it. Is 40. So, height is 40 pixels. Yeah. Okay, so now let's remove the sidebar text because we don't need that. This we can put here. Save. And yeah. So the house is right under the icon. Awesome. I think we have it also aligned pretty well. The home is right under this icon, which is not the case with us because we have a little bit of a DIY logo here. But we can move the logo actually. Should we move the logo? So navigation menu. There we go. Navigation menu. Image. We can give it a margin left of a little bit. You know, it's like when you're cooking and you're saying like just like a handful of something. That's the same. Like a margin left of a little bit. Maybe just a little bit more, you know, like when you taste it and you're like, maybe just a little bit more. Oh yeah, that one's good. Nice, on point. Cool. So the same thing as we had here with the chips. We want only one item to be selected, which is also gonna be changed by a class. So sidebar section link selected. Is that we had on with the chip? Yeah, we had chips item selected. The same we're gonna go with here. And that's where our background color is gonna be of this gray color. And also our SVG, let's copy this one down. That's where our SVG is gonna be of fill, what's the YouTube red color? You can click on this and it's foo. This one. And I think the font weight of the text was a little bit thicker, like 500. Right, now we're not gonna see anything because also these icons need to be gray. Remember how we did here the SVG that of the navigation that they were gray? I think all the SVGs can be like that. Can I dare to do that? I'm gonna dare and do that, and I'm gonna put it on the top so we will see that this one is applying to all of them. That's there. However, I think it might override this one as well because the SVG is more specific. Let's see. So if we're gonna select this one, oh no, it's not gonna override because I didn't define it here, SVG. Yeah, it's gonna tackle it fine. Where is our side? So our link, this one is gonna be the selected one. At first, no dots, just regular one. Yay! Is it actually thicker? I don't think so. Or bolder. Font weight. How about 600? I think 600 is too much. Which font weight does this one have? Font weight 500, so I wasn't wrong. And this one, let's assume it's 400 and that one is 500. I think it is like that. I think just that our Roboto is not working. Wait, should we get like a Roboto font? Google Fonts, Roboto. There we go. I don't wanna download it. I wanna use it. So we wanna use the 400 and we wanna use the 500 and we want to use it like this. So that's the benefit of using Google Fonts, is that you can just drop it here in your, so they give you already a link how to use it. You drop it ideally above your CSS, so then your CSS can use it. Yeah, now it looks a little bit different. Nice. Let's remove our border, this one, the red one. Save it. Looks nice, right? However, I see that it's like there is a padding here on the top. How I see it is that because this line does not align with this line, and in our case they're aligning with each other. Aligning with each other? They align with each other. So it has a padding of 12 pixels. Top and bottom. Okay. So padding. Yeah. Cool. Now we have it too. Yep. So let's continue with the icons. As previously, I'm gonna just take these icons and put them in the section, in here in the index. Let me just put that like this. Where am I gonna put it? Here. So based on the same structure, we're gonna now create these ones with their icons. I'm gonna speed through that, but you can stop the video and do it at your own pace. See you in a second. Okay, so I'm back. Let me see. Let's see if everything works. So this is the section that we're supposed to see now on our side too. Yay! Look, it's almost like, I mean, it looks pretty good to me. Next one is this one. So let's also do that. So I have library, history, your videos, watch later, web, like this is there's actually one of my playlists called Web Developer Interview Experience if you're interested in that. and then it has a show more button, and then the subscriptions that I have, hello everyone, and more from YouTube. So let's do this section of camera, which is exactly the same as we had this sidebar right now being done, but it's just that you're gonna do it in the next section. And skip subscriptions, we're gonna do it together. Now, let's do all of it except of the subscriptions. Okay, see you in a bit. Whew. Okay, so what do we have? Let's shrink it a little bit. Whew. So we have this section, subscriptions, we said we're not gonna touch for now. Then we have more from YouTube and all of these ones, as well as these ones and this one. So we agreed that we're gonna do these ones off camera, but I also went on and did these ones. How I did them is, honestly, I didn't want to just like type everything, so I just did this from the website of YouTube. Then I created a separate section for that. Each of them has, it's also an H tag, which is with an href of a slash, although you can actually go and check. So if we go here, you can check to which page they're linking and insert the actual link if you wish. I'm not gonna do that. Then this one is just a p tag because it's at the end, it's not a link, it's not nothing. Also, you see that this is all rights reserved thingy. It actually looks like this because it's called an HTML entity, and since different browsers or different systems are decoding symbols in their own way, this is kind of like an agreed standard. It's called HTML entities, HTML entity, and there is like a whole chart of them, and every time there is like a special character, it's better to write them in this type of encoded thing. I don't know if it's called encoded, but let's call it encoded. So this way you can be for sure certain that any browser, any system is gonna decode it as you want to decode it. Because if you're just gonna like copy this symbol, there is a chance that maybe some system is not gonna decode it properly and the user is not gonna see it. So yeah, use that. Especially this one, and is very popular, and yeah, have fun with those ones. You can check them out. It's called HTML entity. Back to our YouTube thing. So those ones, they're just links. I also gave them a class called sidebar section link small, because they're smaller than the rest. And in here, so they have a margin right, each of those links, as well as they don't have a decoration. I also removed the color, the font size. I took everything from the inspector from YouTube, from their side. The only thing that was specific is that this section, this specific one, has certain padding, and that's why I did here sidebar section last child, which means that we have this section and this section. So we have several sections, right? Every section represents this chunk until it has like the border bottom. So the last child, which is this one, what does it have? It has a special padding, and I chose to do it this way. You could also do it in a way that you assign a specific class, but I decided to go with that. Both things are valid, or even more solutions are probably even more valid, or can be maybe more appropriate in one scenario or another. But as always, CSS is a major world of endless possibilities, and you just choose what works with you and your project. Okay, now I hope you have all those icons, that you copied them as I showed you, and now let's organize, or not organize, maybe let's style this more from YouTube, the way how it looks here. Or let's go to here, this one. So let's check what it is. It's an H3. It has a padding of 8 and 24. Let's copy that. What's the font size? Is 14. Font weight is 500. So quite regular what they have. So we can tackle it by doing sidebar section and doing the H3. It's gonna be padding like this, indent it properly, save it, and let's see. Okay, the padding is good. Now the font size was 13 pixels. Refresh. Yep. And it was all uppercase, right? How do you do it? Text, transform, uppercase. Yeah, so you could also type it in uppercase, but sometimes I think it's better if you have just the text as a regular, just maybe like the first letter is capitalized as in a proper sentence, and then the styling you can change depending on how you want it to be. Also, why it looks like this one is bigger than this one. Is it an optical illusion? Yeah. Okay, the color is also off. What's the color? Color is 96, 96, 96. So that's gonna be our color. Yeah, now it looks nicer. Good. Also, I think that this part, so every time there is a margin bottom, I think we're missing a little bit of, not a margin, we're missing the margin every time there is a border bottom. It has a padding of 8. So you want to tell me that the sidebar section has a padding of 8 pixels and 0. Yep, looks about right, doesn't it? I think it does. Let's open this one a little bit more. So let's see. I think it looks quite good, doesn't it? I think it looks pretty nice. Okay, the only thing that we don't have is this awesome scroll. What happens to ours is that it just extends the page. How are we gonna fix that? Let me tell you. So what we need to do is we need to limit this sidebar to be exactly the height of the page. And whatever doesn't fit in that size, we're gonna add a scroll bar. So how are we gonna do that is in here. In our sidebar, we need to define the height of it. And the height of it, we said that it needs to be the whole height of the page. And how you can get that one is not by doing 100%, because that's not how 100% doesn't work in this case, how we expect it to work. We need to do 100 of VH. VH is, I think, vertical height. So 100 units of the vertical height of the screen, whichever screen it is. I think we need to do an overflow Y. We need to do a scroll. Yeah, and now it's gonna be good. However, that's not entirely good, because you see, like, if you scroll, it still scrolls more. Do you know why? You want to take a second to think about it? I can tell you why. Because we have the navbar. And the navbar, if you take like this 56 pixels, or how much did we give it? That's exactly the amount of pixels that we are scrolling here. And how we can avoid it, so we cannot do 100 VH or like 87 VH or something like that, because they are not, their scale is not one-to-one. So what you can do is in CSS there is a thing called calc, which is basically going to calculate. It's a mathematical function that you're saying 100 VH. So take 100 VH minus 56 pixels, which is our navbar height, save it, and assign whatever value you get from it, assign it to the height. I think we need a little bit more, minus, let's do minus 60. We still have a little bit of a scroll, because we have some paddings, I guess. Yeah, cool. You see, now we don't have the scroll bar here, but we do have it here. and that's what we wanted to achieve. Okay, subscriptions. Let's go for subscriptions. If you can guess, it's gonna be quite the same as this one. We are going to have a name and an icon here. So if you want, you can actually put icons of your favorite channels that you're subscribed for, or you're subscribed to, or you can just put like placeholders as we did with our own avatar icon thingy. That's what I'm gonna do. Let's take, where was that? It was in user avatar, and we're gonna go to subscriptions. So let's copy one of the links from above, because the structure is the same, it's just that the content of it is different. That instead of the SVG, we're going to have the navigation avatar. Yay! Channel name, we're gonna call it. And it needs to have like a, I think it's also, it should be smaller, right? Yeah. Sister codes, let's check. It's 24, and I think ours is a little bit bigger. So we're not gonna call it navigation avatar, we're gonna call it sidebar section avatar. And then when we go here, sidebar section, link, we can do here. Where was the avatar? Let's copy the styling that we had there, because it was working with us. Boom, boom, boom. There we go. We said that it's gonna be 24. And if we refresh now, yeah. Okay, and it also needs to have, why it doesn't have this margin thing? Because the margin was applied to the SVG. Actually, since they are the same, why are we doing it like that? So you see what I mean? We have this style. Let me move them close together. So we have this one, sidebar section link SVG, and we have sidebar section avatar, which are essentially exactly the same. They're just different tags. So we have the height and the width and the margin right are supposed to be exactly the same. So we're gonna remove this part from here, and we're gonna add a comma here to say that we want to apply also this styling to this one. I know it works. Nice. And now you can do as many as you want. How many do we have? Like this? Yes. I'm really liking this. This looks so much like YouTube. Like, how cool is that? It's also very humble to be fascinated by your own job, I guess. But who cares? It's awesome. Okay, let's do this part. The suggestions, the videos, the thumbnails, the whatever that is. Let's go. What's gonna be the name of it? Ah, we call it main. Okay. Should we call it, how should we call it? A feed, right? It's a feed. And in here we're gonna have, so we also have sections here. We have like the main, and then suddenly there is news, and then it continues. Let me know, do you also have this section, or is it only like Germany specific? Probably everybody has that, right? So on the main page you have 4 videos. We created it. One is going to have an image here. So let's put an image. Thumbnail. Probably in general in YouTube you would get like the title of the image and you would put it in the alt tag. Then we have another div. So we have the main div, which is the main div of this suggestion. So it has an image, and then it has this section, and this section is a whole section by itself. So it has an avatar, then it has a title, then it has channel name, and then it has some info. So the way how it's built is that this is probably a column, because you see these ones are aligned together. I would say that the avatar, so the avatar is a div by itself, right? Because we already had it. We're gonna use the same one. Yeah, let's use the same one. I mean this one, navigation avatar. We're just gonna, let's use it for now like this, but we're gonna rename it, okay? Class navigation avatar. and then we're gonna have another div here that has the title, channel name, and the info. So the title, I assume it's like a H5 or something, because it also had like a margin on the bottom, which actually doesn't mean a thing. You can add paddings, margins to any element. But for some reason, I would say that this probably, yeah, it's an H3 in YouTube language. So this is an H3. Then channel name is an A tag to channel. And then some info can be a P tag. Okay, that's gonna be our main structure. So this is the info, this is the channel, and this is the title. Some video title that is not a clickbait. Okay, channel name can be channel name, we're very creative. Info is 5.5K views. Then it has this dot. Let's go again to HTML entities and find this dot. This is a period. No, we need a dot. This one, mid dot. Mid dot, and then what it was when it was published, right? 3 hours ago. 3 hours ago. All right, and now this one, what's the size of it? 360 by 202. 360 by 202. 360 by 202, because otherwise I'm gonna forget. So what I want to do is, instead of putting an image, in our case, since we're using placeholders, let's also continue using hero placeholder, and we're gonna call it class thumbnail placeholder, or just thumbnail. Feed thumbnail. And what we're gonna do with that is scroll to the bottom, because we feed thumbnail, probably gonna have a feed here and do something with the feed as well. So this one is gonna have width of, I already forgot, let's copy these values, width of 360 pixels, and then the height of 202 pixels. Background color is gonna be the same as we have for our avatar. There we go, great. I think that's all. Very nice. So our feed also needs to have the margin left of 240 pixels, was that? Yeah, but we want a little bit more, right? So it has like a margin here. How much does it have? So what does it do here actually? It's a flex, and it's justify content flex start, flex wraps. Okay, it has a margin top of 24. I'm gonna add that as well. Margin top, indent. Okay, then, so it has all of this, and then it has this. Is that like centered? So what's this? What's this? Width. We are calculating a width of 100% minus a grid item margin 60 multiplied by 2. Okay, because they're doing responsive, so I guess they need to do all these calculations and all these variables and everything. What we're gonna do is we're just gonna align it center. I mean, we're not receiving anything from the API, so we know we're gonna have 4 videos in every row, although we could probably also use the flex wrap. Let's play with the flex wrap. But then we need to define the width. I think we just need to add some elements now and then see how it goes. So let's do that first. We can remove that, or should we just like change this a little bit? Yeah, okay. I'm very indecisive. So what do we need to do? This one, what's the font size? 16 pixels, font weight 500. Let's call it feed item, and actually this one is gonna be feed item thumbnail. So feed item thumbnail, and this one is gonna be feed item, and the font size is 16 pixels. Font weight is 500. Oh, and what I wanted it to be, this one is gonna be feed item description or info. Yeah, let's go with info, it's shorter. And this one is gonna be a display, not block, it's gonna be a display flex. Yeah, because remember we said that the avatar should be on the left side and then everything else on the right side. Feed item H3. Yeah, now it works. H3, and so let's check it out. It has a margin top of 12 and 12. Feed item info avatar. See, this is what BAM is. You just like keep on boom, 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 boom. Keep on bam, 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 bam. Save it. Avatar is going to be 36. Okay. So we're gonna do it here. Height 36 pixels. Width 36 pixels. Border radius 50% and background color gray. So what else do we want to do? We want a margin. Margin was top 12 pixels and right 12 pixels and then 0, 0. Yes, nice, cool. Now we have here, yeah, this margin situations of H3. So that's like that's native margin that an item has once it has an H3. So H3 is gonna be in the feed item info, right? Because we added another class and we can use that. And margin bottom. If we're gonna do none, then that's not how it works. 0. Yeah, it's gonna be too squishy. Is that what we want? Not really, right? We want to have some space here. How do they add the space? It has a little margin bottom of 4. Margin bottom of 4 pixels. What does it have? This is the P tag. So the P tag also needs to have none of the margins. Let's just put a margin 0. Yep, channel name, which is the A, it's gonna have a font, not font, text, decoration, none. Yep, and the color is, so I still think that it's quite big, right? These ones are significantly smaller, or okay, not significantly, 14 and 14. I think ours is about 16. Yeah. 14 pixels. Yes. And then these ones also need to have their own color. Because this one is fine. What's the color of this? 60, 60, 60 or 96, 96. Let's put it here. Color like this. And then here we're gonna override it. Yeah, here it's gonna be color, because I don't think it's black. I think it's just like a dark, is it black? Yeah, no, it's not black. It's RGB 323. Because there is also a thing, I think that's also in design, it's not just like in web development, that you should not use like black, same as you should not use white. It's always like off black or off white. I think because like the contrast is easier for the eye. Why is the color still like this? We need to remove the color. It's gonna be, what if we do unset? Yep, perfect. Now we're ready to add more videos. We can remove those commands. So we need the whole feed item. So 3, 4, we need to give the feed display flex. Boom. And it needs to have a flex wrap over wrap. This way they're gonna wrap. So whenever there is no space, they're gonna wrap like a wrap. Let's copy this and add it to our feed. There we go. And we also need some margins between them. How much margins does they have? So they have an 8 pixels on all sides and a 40 bottom. So feed item margin. So top is 0. It always goes clockwise. So top is 0, 8 pixels, 40 pixels. 8 pixels. For a second I was not sure what I was typing. And refresh. Yay! Okay, now however I do want it to be centered, and this we can achieve by align items center, or is that wrong? Yeah, no, that's wrong. Justify content center. Yeah. Yay! Doesn't that look nice? Doesn't that look nice? I'm very happy. Let's add some more. Oh, also we need to fix this situation here. Let's add maybe like, we're gonna have now 2 more. Well, if you go full screen, then it's probably gonna have like a proper 4:4. Yeah, okay. Do we also want to do like a special section? Let's do that, right? Why not? If we're already here, so why not have that too? This is what I mean by this special section. So it also has a border top. They really like their border tops. They don't like the HRs, huh? Oh no, what happened here? No. So this one is fine, and then this one starts behaving like this. Why are you doing this? Maybe after all it was too much to put it. Was that the issue with calc? This one, that it needs to be 56 and then it's gonna be fine? Yeah. Oh, I know why. It needs to stay fixed. It should not be scrolling. Ah, yeah, that's what we don't have. So whenever you scroll, this whole thing should scroll together with the page. You know what I mean? Like you scrolling only the feed. Like this whole thing stays. So I think the sidebar is not a position absolute, it's a position fixed. Right? Yes, yes, yes. I'm so happy that it's like clicking in my head, because for me, when I was a junior, it took me the longest to understand those things. Like the longest. The longest. Alright. A moment of appreciation for my long journey. Let's also create the fixed positioning for our navigation. That might be a little bit more tricky. Position fixed. Yeah. Top 0. Right 0. Left. Yeah, okay. And the chips as well. Chips. Position fixed. Top is gonna be 56 pixels or 56. Right 0 and left. And left is gonna be 240 pixels. Nope. Yep. Cool. So now every time you scroll, it's gonna be like this. We can add them border background color of white. So this way, whenever you scroll, it's not like transparent and we don't see stuff. Background color white. Yeah. Nicey nice. Okay, now we also need to add to the feed, we need to kind of push it down, because now whenever you load the page, it's already cut. Because those elements are technically now not in the dome, like not in the tree, they are kind of like outside of it. So these elements, the feed is being pushed to the top of the page. And where is the feed? Margin top is gonna be 56 plus this. How much is this? This is 58 and 56. Let's do 140. So now we have this, and we said that we want to do the special thing. Okay, let's close it for a second. So these ones, they are also in the main, but they have their own structure. Feed section. Right? It's gonna have a H2, I would say. Let's call it news. Let's not call it that news. We're gonna call it just news. And we're gonna take 3 of them. Now I prefer to take 4, right? Because we have like 4 in a row, in a normal row. News. So now if we refresh here, yes, we have news. Feed section. Let's work with that one now. And I have dot feed section, display flex. Yes, of course, flex wrap. Yep. What did we have in our feed? Had a margin left, so all of that is gonna be the same except for the margin top. There we go. We're gonna have another div then inside of here, because the news feed section items and this div, save it. Yeah, so now the feed section, this one is gonna be items. So we need this border top. Let's give it a border top, and then it's gonna be more clear how to style it. Border top. I think it's around like 3 pixels. Solid gray. It's a light gray. Yeah. Does it look kind of the same? Yeah. A feed section. So feed section. Let's give it a margin 0 auto. No. A margin of like 20 pixels and 0. No, sorry. So the 0 comes from the top, and then in here it's going to be 20 pixels. Just like to have it a little bit off the sides. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of this alignment here, but the way how we did it with the Flexbox, I mean, they do it in a slightly different way, and I guess that's why. So we're gonna do it like that, and we're gonna do margin 0, and let's do maybe like 35 pixels, just to be fair. Yeah, looks good. I mean, is it perfect? Almost. Let me open it like this. I think we have many things aligned. Look, this one is even almost aligned. You can move it a little bit. Margin left 5 pixels. Like 8. Yeah, 8's nice. cool. And let's add the border bottom, which we're not gonna see. If we want to see it, we need to add more items, and we add 4 more. So here you see that it's overlapping because we need to add, how does it look here? So it has quite the margin. Oh, because it has a button here. We're not gonna do the button. So we have the top margin here. How much does it have? 24, and then this height is 48. So the H2 is gonna have a margin top of 24 pixels, and then the feet section itself is gonna have a margin, so we have the, oh, we actually can add it here, 24 pixels, 35 on the sides, and then 48 pixels on the bottom. It's quite random, but I assume they would probably have variables and REMs. We just went with pixels. And that's all, my friends. We can add here more of these ones. 1, 2, 3, 4 in a batches of 4, I would prefer. So 2, 3, like you can add as many as you want, and it's gonna be more lively if you're gonna add actual pictures there, and it's gonna look nice. And you can also make it an href, so then like you have the pointer finger. You can add here more of these ones, of the chips, depending on your interests, I guess, or like most searched things. And yeah, I think that was a lot of fun. We didn't use everything as they use, although we could probably do that. And I think in the next Clone UI, I will try to work also with grid, because I think I am underestimated and undervaluing the true value of the grid. So let me know if you enjoy those videos. Let me know which website or which example maybe you want to take, just like a design example, not necessarily an existing website, and see how we can replicate it, build it. And maybe you have also a technology in mind, or like not a technology necessarily, but maybe like a CSS something that you want to practice and see how we can use it in one way or another. Thanks a lot if you have been watching until here. I'm gonna wrap it up and hope to see you in the next one. Have a good evening, day, night, wherever you are. Stay safe and see you next time. Bye!